Tiny House Prepper.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill with Tiny House Prepper, and this is the next video in my series of how to make videos and upload to YouTube. This video will be about basic filming techniques. Now, you can go to college. You can get a degree in filmography or videography. You can study for years, and there's lots of good stuff to learn. This is not going to be a world-class videography video. I'm just going to talk about a few of the basic techniques that you really need to know if you're going to be doing videos on YouTube. Quite frankly, there are a few basic mistakes that a lot of beginning YouTubers make that make their videos look very amateurish. And if you just know a few of these basic mistakes and correct them, you can greatly increase the the professionalism of your videos and the enjoyability of your videos. Is that a word? Enjoyability? Anyway, let me go over a few of the basic mistakes that beginning videographers make and how to correct them. And then we'll talk about a few things about lighting and that sort of thing. So, let's jump right in. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is something that is probably one of my biggest pet peeves, and quite frankly, it drives me crazy when I see it. The cell phone is a wonderful tool. If you have a good camera, you can use the camera, but at any time you can pick up your cell phone and use it, and it works. It works really well. But when you're using your cell phone to film something, don't ever hold it like this. Always hold it like this. Now, why is that? If you are just looking at what you're filming on the cell phone itself, whatever you film, the image completely fills the screen and it looks fine, and you don't realize what you're doing and the problem with it. But when you download it into the computer, you get a whole different situation here. Let me put it this way so that you can see. Now, if you hold it up and down, this is what you get. Tunnel vision. I'm stuck in here. I can't get out. I want to see what's here. And every time I'm watching somebody who films this way, I always have a feeling like I want to look and see what's around the edges. I want to see the whole thing. This doesn't fill the whole screen on the computer. So don't ever do it this way. And if you start with your phone oriented this way and then you realize it and then you turn it, here's what happens. How's that? That doesn't work. So what you need to do, if you start it with the phone oriented this way and then you realize that you made the mistake, don't just turn it, you see what happens. You have to actually stop the recording and then you can turn it and then you can start the recording again. So now, here's the recording of me using my cell phone the correct way, orienting it the correct direction, and you see that it fills the entire screen. It's no longer tunnel vision. So if you do it the other way with it up and down and you get that tunnel vision, not only does it make the video much less enjoyable, it feels like it's closing in on me, it makes it obvious that it's done with a cell phone, and it makes it very obvious that it's very amateurish. All you have to do is just reorient your phone before you film, and look at what you get here. The full screen looks much better. Probably 20 or 30% of the videos that we do, we film on our phone, if not more, because we have a couple of great cameras. I talked about that in our video about our camera equipment. But which one is the best one to use? Well, it's the one that you happen to have with you at the time. And many times that's the cell phone. So many of our videos are filmed with cell phone or a combination of all three of our cameras. And as you're watching it, you probably can't tell the difference because we're holding the cell phone this way instead of this way. In the clip that I just did about using the cell phone in the correct orientation, as soon as I was finished doing that, filming that clip, Elizabeth said that she thought that I had come across as being almost judgmental or insulting in saying, you guys are amateurs and I'm the pro, whatever. That if you took it that way, if you were offended by that, that was not my intent. I'm just saying that there are certain techniques that many of us do as we are starting out which are amateurish, and all you have to do is simply reorient the phone and it becomes much more professional looking. So please don't take offense if you did. That was not my intent. And speaking of amateurish techniques, let me tell you one that I just did, and I've been doing this for a number of years. In the last clip where I was showing you how to correctly orient the cell phone, I was focusing in on the subject of the video, which was me, and I didn't realize what was in the background until I actually loaded it into the computer and watched it as I started to edit, and there was Elizabeth sitting behind me. I didn't even realize she was there. It's a very easy thing to do, and a lot of people do it, and I just did it again. You focus so much on the subject that you're filming that you don't notice anything that goes on in the background. Try to be aware of everything that goes on. You don't want to have something in the background that would be offensive to somebody, or something that's, you know, you're shooting some beautiful thing and there's an ugly thing in the background. Just kind of notice everything, not just your subject. Now let's move on. Okay, you need to put yourself in the video. I see videos that are just hands. Somebody will come on, they're doing a subject, they're doing some kind of a project, let's say a cooking project. Okay, they set up their tripod facing down at the counter. You never ever see their face. All you see is their hands. And in fact, many times they don't even introduce themselves. They don't say who they are. They don't even say what they're doing. You know, they don't say, I'm going to make an apple crumb pie. They just start with, all you see is their hands and a bowl. They start, you push the button, and first thing you see is, okay, I'm going to start with 2 cups of flour, and you see them putting in the flour. That kind of thing might be instructive. They might make a great apple crumb pie, but there's no people interest. There's no connection. You need to put yourself or someone in the picture every once in a while. You know, we do a lot of cooking videos, Cooking with Thrive videos, and many of the shots are just our hands, just showing you what we are doing as we're cooking on the counter, and you just see our hands. But we start with an introduction. We start with us, with our face, so we make that personal connection. And we cut away from our hands and show our face regularly throughout the video, because the content might be good, but people want to see people. And if there's no personal interaction, no matter how good the content is, people aren't going to be interested, and it's not going to be a very successful video. And now, along those lines too, if you have a camera that has a flip out screen and the screen is next to the lens, like the one that I'm using right now, you have to be very careful to look at the lens, not at the screen. And it especially gets bad if you get up closer. You see, right now I am looking at the screen, not at the camera. Let me take off my glasses so you can see where I'm looking. I'm looking at the screen, not at the camera. This is a very, very easy thing to do. You just watch yourself as you're doing your video. Notice that I'm not connecting with you right now because I'm looking at the screen. Now I'm looking right into the lens. Now I'm connecting with you. It makes people feel much more included. It draws them in, instead of looking at the screen over here, which is kind of impersonal. So it's something that Elizabeth and I both fight the tendency to do. After years of filming, we still fight this tendency. You need to look at the lens,
not at the screen, to make that kind of contact with people. Now, as far as putting yourself in the video, I talk to people who want to start a channel, and I mention that, and it's like, oh, I don't know, I'm just shy or embarrassed or, you know, whatever. They just don't feel comfortable. If you're going to put yourself out there on YouTube, it's a public forum. People are going to know you. Quite frankly, to be real blunt, if you want to be successful with a YouTube channel, you need to get over that, and you need to just jump out there and do it. The first video that Elizabeth did, she was so nervous. She said about 5 or 6 times in each sentence. And it was a difficult thing for her. But now, we don't even think about it. We just turn the camera on and we banter back and forth and whatever we're doing. It just comes with time. Just put yourself out there and just try to be as natural as you can. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you will feel with it. Another thing that could make the video look rather amateurish and can actually make it difficult to watch is when the video is very shaky. Now, this happens primarily for 2 reasons. One is that you move the camera too fast when you're scanning, and the other is you don't use a tripod. I use a tripod absolutely every time that it's feasible to make sure that my video is not shaky. And I'm always conscious to move the camera slowly when I'm scanning something or panning across. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Okay, now talking about tripods. I'm now filming myself on 2 cameras side by side. The one on the left over here is my Canon, the larger camera, and it's on a tripod. The one on the other side on the right is my cell phone, which I'm holding on a selfie stick. Now, no matter how careful I am to hold the camera or the cell phone on the selfie stick, still there's always a little bit of vibration there. And the longer you hold it there, the worse it gets. The one on the other side, on the tripod, is rock solid. So I always try to use the tripod whenever possible because it makes it look more professional and a little bit more enjoyable than this one on the right that always has a little bit of movement no matter how careful I am. I'll see my arm's starting to get tired, so I'm starting to shake even more. So, anytime you have the opportunity to use a tripod, use it. I'm going to turn this one off. Yeah, my arm started to shake there. But anytime you have the opportunity to use a tripod, use it. Sometimes you can't because you're walking down a road or something like that, or you know, there's just such situations where it's not possible. But whenever I can, I always use a tripod. So this is our large tripod. It folds up, it folds out to stand just about 6 feet tall. It's just slightly under it. And it folds up to be about just over a foot, I think. And then this is our other tripod. And right now it's got my cell phone on there. But it's also strong enough to hold the big Canon, that one, that big camera right there. I like this one because I use it as a selfie stick. It is a little bit heavier than a typical selfie stick, but it works well to get it a little bit further away from me. But then I can also, and I like it then because I can also use it as a tripod. Set it on the top of the car to be able to film there on a tripod with nice and solid, or it will wrap around things because of these. You can wrap it around tree branches and fences and all kinds of things to use as a tripod to make it solid. So really seriously consider at least 1, if not 2 tripods. I'm not going to give you a link to them or prices to them because they are everywhere. You can get them in a Walmart, Best Buy, everywhere. You can get them anywhere from about $40 or $50 on up to $1,000. So just look around at different tripods and choose something that works for you. Like I said, I have the big one as my main one, and then I use this one when I'm on the go, and it works really well. Now, there are many times where hand holding a camera just simply can't be avoided. And so when you do that, you need to concentrate on holding the camera as steady, as still as you possibly can. Don't just hold it up like this, your arm away from your body. One hand, it's going to shake. No matter how hard you try to hold it still, it's going to shake. So here's what I do if I'm going to have to hand hold. I'll spread my feet apart a little bit, get a solid stance so I'm not moving. I tuck my elbows into my body, and then I grab it here as well so that I have 2 points of contact, and I can hold it much, much steadier than I can just like this. So hold it like that. And then if I'm going to pan, then I do it slowly, and I do it as smoothly as I possibly can. Like that. Another thing is, if you're going to pan over somewhere, you're looking here and you see something over there, what a lot of people will do then is just, oh, cool. And it moves so fast that it'll make you dizzy. So if you're going to go and see something over there, concentrate on holding it steady and then pan slowly so that you can go over there and look at something without making people seasick.
Now I want to talk about lighting. There are all kinds of different things that could possibly be said about lighting, about how to make a much smoother, softer light and remove shadows and all kinds of things. What kinds of light bulbs to use to get different colors and all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to go into any of that. The only thing I'm going to talk about here, because it's the one that is the most obvious and the people make this mistake the most, and that is backlighting. What you see here. I have windows open behind me, and it creates a backlit situation where I am in complete shadow. Now, it is not dark in here. It looks like it should be fine to film, but because I have open windows behind me that are much brighter than my face, it turns my face into a complete shadow. So you should always be aware of this, whether you're inside looking at a window or whether you're on the beach with the bright sunshine on the sand and the sun is behind you. That can create a backlit situation. So what do you do to correct it? Well, obviously turn on a light. Now, I don't need that light in here. It's plenty bright enough, but I need the light for the video. I also have another light up there that I'm going to go turn on. And that helps even more because this light created shadow here. Now that gets the other side of my face. And now I'm going to go even a step further and close the curtains. Okay, so now it's workable. This is the way that I film most of the time when I'm inside, because in this little RV that we live in, there are no blank walls anywhere. Everything has windows. So wherever we go, we have to close the curtains behind us and then put lights on our face to light our face. Now see, here's another backlighting situation where I'm standing in front of a shed and the sun is shining on the white siding, and in fact it would be even worse if there weren't the shadows of the tree on the siding, because the siding would be even brighter. So here I'm backlit and my face is in shadow. It's pretty comfortable because I'm not looking in the sun. If I turn this way, I'm now looking into the sun, so it's not as comfortable, but you can see my entire face except for my eyes. So then I take off my hat. Now you can see all of me, but now I've got to squint. But what I was saying is that if it's comfortable for you, it's probably not the best photograph situation. But now I'm squinting and I can't see anything, but it's the best lighting. One other issue that I deal with a lot, and many of you will too, is the reflection on my glasses. You see that? It's hard to see my eyes, and if you can't see my eyes, you can't connect with me. So I'm always aware of that, And I said earlier not to look at the screen, to look at the lens, but I always have to glance at the screen to see if the reflection in my glasses. All I have to do is just tilt down a little bit and the reflection is gone. It's very difficult to get rid of that many times. It's impossible. Many times it's impossible. But be aware of that and try to get rid of it if you can by turning different ways and see what happens with your lens, or with your reflection in your lenses of your glasses. Now let me show you one of the lights that I use all the time, and I just turned it off so I can show it to you. And so now it's dark on this side of my face because I don't have this light shining on me. But I used to be a contractor for many years, and I had a whole bunch of drop lights like this that I used in my construction. It's just got a clamp on it where you can just clamp it onto whatever like that. And I've got 3 or 4 of them laying around. It's kind of dented up because it was used on construction sites. But the lens that I use, if you just use a regular light bulb. If you just use a regular light bulb, then it's probably going to blow out. The first time you set it down and it's a little bit of a bump like that, it's probably going to blow out the bulb. Go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get what's called a rough service light bulb. This is a rough service light bulb. It's designed to take abuse. I've dropped this 6 feet or 8 feet off of the scaffolding and it didn't blow out the light bulb. So this is easy to use. I take it around with me. I just clamp it on wherever so that it's shining in my face. And Elizabeth and I always use lights that are shining in our face to get rid of this backlit situation that you see right now with this part of my face in shadow. So this one is our light that's mounted on the wall, and then I use this one to get rid of the shadow. So now I put that drop light back up there again, turn it on, so you can see now that the shadow, most of the shadow is gone from this side of my face. So like I said, Elizabeth and I always use those lights, and it's always a little bit uncomfortable to record because we got lights blaring in our eyes. And if it's comfortable for you, then it's a good chance that the lights are behind you and you're in a backlit situation. If you have lights shining in your face, you know, we have to try all the time not to squint while we're videoing because the lights are just blaring right there. Anybody who's ever done anything on stage with a play, you know, in school or something like that, you know what I'm talking about with the lights blaring at you. It's the same way here. Just take a little bit of time to think about the lighting, make sure you're not backlit, make sure that your face and your subject is well lit. And you have to think of that ahead of time. You can't just shoot and then look at your video and see what you get. So that's the most basic thing about lighting. Just to avoid backlit situations and have an extra light where you can get rid of the main part of the shadow on the face. And you'll be good to go. Speaking of backlighting, things change as the sun changes. Notice the sun on the curtains behind me gives different clips that I do, different colors. Some of them are more pink, some of them are more purple, depending on how much sunlight is coming through. And that can change at a moment's notice as a cloud goes past, and there's really nothing you can do about that. Another thing you need to think about is background sound. This is something just like if someone walks past you in the background and you don't notice what's there. The background sound is also something that many people don't really realize until later. The biggest problem is the wind. If you're filming outside and it's a windy day, there's a good chance that as the wind blows across the microphone, it'll completely obliterate what you're saying. I've had videos where I've had to put the text down below of what I was saying so you could hear me. So just know that if it's a windy day, wait until the wind's not blowing to film, or wait for another day. When I wanted to go out and do the outside shots about the tripod and all that, it was so windy that day that I had to actually wait until another day to do it. Another thing is, many times I have been filming something outside and a neighbor will start up a lawnmower. Well, you probably won't even notice it because your brain just sort of eliminates all unnecessary background noise. And even if you do notice it, it doesn't sound like it's that loud, but the camera will pick it up much louder and much better than your ears will. And many times if you continue to film and you got a lawnmower going on next door, the lawnmower is loud enough that it actually becomes intrusive. and it's hard to hear what you're saying. So just be aware of all kinds of background noises and sounds. Oh, another thing is if you're like standing in front of a waterfall or something like that, or even just a fountain that's trickling, sometimes the trickle can be considerably louder on camera than it sounds like when you're standing there. So just be aware of background sounds. Well, those are some of the basic techniques, filming techniques, that I have learned over the past couple of years. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this is not a world-class course on videography, in-depth, all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to basically cover a few of the biggest mistakes that most of us make when we start out, including myself. I had to learn all these things by trial and error. And if you can learn a few of these things and just change a few of them, it can greatly improve how good your video is and how enjoyable it is. And the more enjoyable it is, the more people would be likely to subscribe when they actually see your video. So I spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of thought into planning my videos because I want to make them the best that I possibly can. And so I've shared these basic things with you, and I am still continuing to learn all the time. And it's a lot of work, but it's very, very enjoyable. So anyway, if you have enjoyed this, if it has been helpful to you, please give it a like. And of course, I've got more to come yet in this video, so if you subscribe, then you'll be able to see the rest of the videos as they come in this series. Also, I'll put a link at the end screen and underneath for the playlist for the entire series of how to make videos, so that you can catch up if you haven't seen them. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next week with another great video about how to make a video.